Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Town of Grand Falls-Windsor regular council meeting for Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. I'll call the meeting to order. And before we get into the meeting, we got a couple of our colleagues not with us tonight, unfortunately. Councillor Feener had a few tough days as his mom passed away late last week. And our sincere condolences to Councillor Feener and the Feener family. Their mom was obviously a very special person. Hazel Feener spent almost a career at Beard's Restaurant, working at Beard's Restaurant. And a beautiful lady with a beautiful smile, and a lady that was loved much throughout the town. So our sincere condolences again to Councillor Feener, his brother Gary, Sean, Dave, Daryl, and the daughter Susan. And we know it's a tough time for you guys. You know that everybody's thinking about you. Deputy Mayor Bennett is not with us this evening, unfortunately. Deputy Mayor is going through a bit of a tough time, to be honest with you, and our thoughts and prayers are with him every day going forward. And I know he may be home and listening tonight, so Deputy, take care, and we're all thinking about you here, and we will be in touch with you in the next few days. So, with having said that, we'll move into the agenda. And I'll call for a motion for the approval of the agenda from the minutes from... I'll call for approval of the agenda. So moved by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by Councillor James. Any errors or omissions? Any errors or omissions in the minutes? There being none, all in favor of the agenda? Right, thank you. All in favor of the agenda? Aye. Thank you very much, and I apologize for that mix-up. Now we're moving into the adoption of the minutes from July 7th. Can I have a motion for the adoption of the minutes? Councillor James, second by Councillor Hiscock. Any errors or omissions?
One thing I just wanted to put on the record, in items 10.1 and 10.2, Councillor Holland and Councillor Hiscock left the meeting for a perceived conflict of interest, but it also should be noted that Deputy Mayor Bennett was also in a perceived conflict of interest for that item. It's just that he didn't leave because he wasn't in attendance at that meeting.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollett, and we'll acknowledge that in a minute. Yeah. Okay, any errors or omissions? There being none, all in favor of the approval of the minutes for July 7, 2026? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Any business arising from the minutes from July 7, 2026? There being none, we'll move on with the first order of business, and that's item number 8.1. And Councillor James, please.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Council approval is required to allocate funding for the crushing, screening, testing, and stockpiling of granular materials at the town-owned pit located on Paradise Lake Access Road. As recommended, administration recommends that council approve funding up to $360,000, excluding HST, and authorize a public tender for the production and stockpiling of granular materials at the town-owned pit on Paradise Lake Resource Road. The 2025 purchasing data demonstrates recurring demand, with sand representing the largest cost and clearest opportunity for savings. Establishing the stockpiles will provide improved value from the town-owned aggregate resource, reduce dependence on external suppliers, strengthen operational readiness, and support additional in-house maintenance work as needs arise.
Thank you, Councillor James, for your resolution. Can I have a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor Hiscock, thank you. Any more discussion with respect to the proposed resolution with respect to the crushing and stockpiling of granular materials at the town pit on the Paradise Lake Resource Road? Councillor James, please.
The town uses granular materials throughout the year for roadway maintenance, winter operations, water and sewer repairs, and other public works activities. These materials are currently purchased from external suppliers as operational needs arise. The town owns a pit on Paradise Lake Resource Road containing aggregate material suitable for processing. Administration has identified an opportunity to have this material crushed, screened, tested, and stockpiled through a competitive tender, creating a town-controlled inventory for future use. On a personal, I feel that this is a good idea because I think it gives us an opportunity to continue to get prepared for what may be coming down the road in the not-too-distant future. Going forward, I think this is a good start for preparation, and we kind of now control our own destiny. We'll see this cost savings in probably 3 to 5 years, and now we are pretty well dependent solely on our own actions and our own stockpiles, which alleviates some of the need, especially in the case of a heavy winter again or some kind of a tragedy. I think this puts us in a pretty good position to be able to control as much as we can during those elements and tough times. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor James. Any more discussion with respect to the minute? Councillor Collett.
I just want to point out that that is going to be for town use only, is that correct? So it's just going to be for, and it's not going to be used by developers or anyone like that. It's going to be just for our town-owned uses. And we're anticipating a stockpile that's going to last 4 to 5 years. Is that the number that we're looking at?
Minimum.
4 to 5 years based on current use, but we hope to increase our use by having it available. So it's hard to know how the consumption will fit into our operations. But yeah, we got lots of needs for using those classes of material. And so we hope to use more, but at a reduced cost over the same period of time, over 4 or 5 year period.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollett. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Jane's minute? And certainly the cost per tonne will be significantly reduced in this program. I think last year for sand alone it was $20.80 per tonne, and this program will reduce that cost to $12.50 per tonne. So significant savings we're going to see over time, and we can access the sand, gravel or Class A whenever we desire to. So good idea. Any more comments? If not, we'll have the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. Now we'll move on to item number 9.1. Councillor Hiscock, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council approval of Municipal Plan Amendment Number 26, 2026, and Development Regulations Amendment Number 34, 2026, as adopted following completion of the required public consultation process. And I propose that Council, under the authority of Section 23 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000, approves Municipal Plan Amendment Number 26, 2026, to the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor Integrated Community Sustainability Municipal Plan 2022-2032 as adopted. And that Council, under the authority of Section 23 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000, approves Development Regulations Amendment Number 34, 2026, to the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor Development Regulations 2022-2032 as adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Can I have a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor Janes, thank you. Any more discussion with respect to the resolution? Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. In general terms, Municipal Plan Amendment Number 26, 2026 redesignates the subject land from natural open space to urban residential on the future land use map of the municipal plan. Development Regulations Amendment Number 34, 2026 rezones the same lands from conservation to residential RS-2 single unit small lot residential zone on the land use zoning map. The amendment documents indicate that the site was across from to the municipal water and sewer services and could accommodate approximately 3 small lot, single lot detached dwellings. And basically, Mr. Mayor, that is on the south side of Riverview Road, and we've been talking about that now for a couple of months. So this is the final stage to have that put in the process, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. And he's correct, the south side of Riverview Road, and there's probably enough space there for 3 units, 3 living units. So they'll be up for grabs after this meeting, and we've already had some inquiries with respect to that land and developers interested in developing the 3 units that are available for there. Any more discussion? Comments or questions? We got a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution's carried. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, 9.2. Councillor Hiscock, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council direction is required to proceed with the required public notification process for a discretionary use application to convert the existing building at 9 Mill Road from commercial use back to residential use. And I propose that council authorize staff to proceed with the required public notification process for the proposed discretionary residential use at 9 Mill Road in accordance with the town of Grand Falls-Windsor development regulations.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Can I get a seconder for the resolution, please?
Did we get a second?
No, not yet. Can I have it? Oh, Councillor Hollett, thank you. Any more discussion with respect to the discretionary note?
Thank you, Mayor. The town has received an application from Leader Holdings Limited requesting approval to convert the existing building at 9 Mill Road from commercial use to residential use. The property is located within the commercial downtown zone. Council has previously approved an amendment to the town's development regulations that permits the conversion of existing commercial buildings to residential use as a discretionary use within the applicable zone. And as a result, rezoning a further amendment is not required for this purpose. The application can instead proceed through the discretionary use process, including the required public notification prior to council making a final decision. And that property, Mayor, was once a home, and we rezoned it for a commercial development there. And unfortunately, the commercial development didn't pan out. So there's a developer now who wants to purchase that house and turn it back into two existing apartments.
Well said. Any more discussion with respect to the item? Any questions? Councillor Hollett.
I just want to point out, like you said, it was residential, because normally when we're talking about this commercial downtown zone, I'm generally opposed to having residential units in the downtown core. But with this one, this was originally a residential, was converted to commercial for short term, and now it's being converted back to a residential. So I have no opposition to that.
Thank you, Councillor Hollett. And there's a house right across the street, basically, so as well. So there are a couple of residents down that way. Any more discussion? We got a mover and a seconder. All in favor of the resolution? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is carried. We'll move on to item 9.3 with respect to a short-term rental at 40 Manchee Road. Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. Council is requested to consider a discretionary use application to operate a short-term rental as a home-based business at 40 Manchee Road. And I propose that council approve the discretionary use application for a short-term rental of 40 Manchee Road, subject to compliance with the town of Grand Falls-Windsor development regulations 2022 to 2032 and all other applicable municipal requirements.
Okay, can I get a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor James, thank you. Any more information with respect to the resolution? Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. The town received an application to operate a short-term rental as a home-based business at 40 Manchee Road. This use is classified as discretionary use under the town of Grand Falls-Windsor development regulations 2022-2032 and therefore requires council's consideration. In accordance with the public notification requirements, written notice was mailed to the abutting and adjacent property owners. The deadline for comments, objections, or representations was August 6, 2026. No submissions were received during the consultation period, and all required inspections of the property have been completed, and no concerns were identified that would prevent the proposed use from this proceeding.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Any more questions or comments with respect to the short-term rental for 40 Manchee Road? Okay, there being none. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Just wanted to point out that I'm pleased that we are getting short-term rentals because we are limited in our accommodations that we have available in our community. However, as was mentioned the other night, it's kind of a win-lose because then we lose a residence that someone could live in on a permanent basis. So it's a win on one side, but it's a compromise on the other. So I just want to point it out that we identify and we realize the case, but we are People have applied for this. It's going through the discretionary, and everything is going ahead as should. Thank you.
And although there's a living residence going to be used as an Airbnb, I guess it's equal how people are trying to find a place to live and people are trying to find a hotel room here at the same time. So this will help at least one cause. And I think that brings us to a total of how many Airbnbs? We discussed it the other night. Can you recall, Mr. Finn, how many that we have registered?
Well, I don't know the current number, but I know when I looked it up in the past, which would have been more than a year ago, it was about 60 registered if you look it up on the Airbnb website.
60?
Yeah, at least 60 businesses registered as Airbnb rentals here in Grand Falls-Windsor as we speak, and probably a few more by now. And almost equal to another hotel. Upon any case, any more comments with respect to the unit on 40 Manchie Road? There being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is carried. Move on to item 9.4, short-term rental application from 15 Rices Avenue.
Thank you, Mayor. Council requested to consider a discretionary use application to operate a short-term rental as a home-based business at 15 Rices Avenue. And I propose that council approve the discretionary use application for a short-term rental at 15 Rices Avenue, subject to the successful completion of all required inspections and compliance with the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor Development Regulations 2022-2032 and all other applicable municipal requirements.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Can I get a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor Hollett, thank you. Any more discussion or information? Thank you,
Mayor.
Councillor Hiscock.
The town received an application to operate a short-term rental as a home-based business at 15 Rices Avenue. This use is classified as discretionary use under the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor Development Regulations 2022 and 2032, and therefore requires council's consideration. In accordance with the public notification requirements, written notice was mailed to the abutting and adjacent property owners. The deadline for comments, objections, or representations was August the 5th, 2026. No submissions were received during the consultation period. The inspections required for the proposed use have not yet been completed. Accordingly, any approval should be conditional upon the property successfully passing all required inspections and satisfying the applicable requirements of the town's development regulations.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Any more discussion with respect or questions with respect to the property on 15 Rices Avenue? All good? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is carried. Now we'll move on to item number 9.5. Councillor Hiscock, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council is requested to approve Municipal Plan Amendment Number 24, 2025, and Development Regulations Amendment Number 31, 2025, as adopted, following cancellation of the scheduled public hearing because no objections or representations were received. And I propose under the authority of Sections 16, 17, and 18 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000, the Town Council of Grand Falls-Windsor approves Amendment Number 24, 2025 to the Grand Falls-Windsor Integrated Community Sustainability Municipal Plan. Under the authority of Sections 16, 17, and 18 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act 2000, the Town Council of Grand Falls-Windsor approves Amendment Number 31, 2025 to the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor's Development Regulations.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Can I get a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor Cody, thank you. Any more discussion or information with respect to the item? Councillor Hiscock.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, in general terms, the amendments apply to land north of the Trans-Canada Highway between Redcliffe Road and the Newfoundland Trailway corridor. The amendments are intended to enable rural residential development by redesignating portions of the property from rural and natural open space and rural residential to the Integrated Community Sustainability Municipal Plan and rezoning portions from rural and conservation to rural residential in the development regulations. And that land, Mayor, is privately owned land. It's within the boundaries of Grand Falls-Windsor, it's on the far west end of Grand Falls-Windsor. Like when you come out Trans-Canada Highway going into Redcliffe, it's right straight in front of you. And that, like I said, is privately owned land that the gentleman wants to build a home there, and possibly one for members of his family as well.
Hiscock. Any more discussion, questions, or comments with respect to the land at Redcliffe we're discussing here? Councillor Hollett.
For benefit of the residents, can we get a clear description of where that is? So you come in, you turn off the Trans-Canada Highway, so it's just turn into Redcliffe, and it's just to your left. So it's, oh, sorry, to your right.
It's, to you, through you, Mayor, to Councillor Hollett. Yeah, when you come in off of Trans-Canada Highway going into Redcliffe, it's right in front of you.
So
Okay,
it's just,
it's just right in front of you.
Okay.
Yeah. But this gentleman's land actually goes from there to the left, we say, or the north end, going down towards the old rail bed. That's where
Okay.
his land is at. It's a fair-sized parcel of land. But all the boggy land on the backside of that, that's still reserved land. He's not going to do any development there. Right? So it's just straight in front of you when you come on to Redcliffe. It's just in front and to your left, right?
okay. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Hollett. Councillor James.
So if I get my orientation wasn't one of my strong points, but, so when we pull off, right in front of us is where the old driving range used to be?
Yeah, you're driving. Oh, sorry,
Driving range is
Mayor.
kind of on the right?
Yeah, no, the driving range as such, Mayor, and through you to Councillor James, the driving range is to your right.
Okay.
Okay, this is directly in front, and the land goes directly in front and then to your left.
To your left.
Down towards the old rail bed, yeah.
And as Councillor noted, it's in the boundaries of the community of Grand Falls-Windsor. And there'll be at least one development, and I suspect probably a couple more up there when the time the developer gets his, everything straightened away up there, and I think he's ready to move immediately. He's just waiting for the approval tonight. So, any more discussion, comments, or questions with respect to that? There being none, all in favour? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. Item number 9.6 is an information note related to the Chow Place multi-unit residential subdivision. Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a good news information note, something that we as a town council have been working on for a while. Now it's coming to fruition, Mayor. Development has commenced on a new multi-unit residential subdivision known as Chow Place, located on the west side of Main Street, directly across from Turpin Place intersection. Council reviewed the information note regarding a new multi-unit housing development at Chow Place on the west end of Main Street. The proposed subdivision consists of a new cul-de-sac containing 8 quadplex buildings and 4 duplex buildings for a total of 12 residential buildings. Each primary dwelling will also contain a ground level apartment. As a result, each quadplex will contain 8 residential units. Each duplex will contain 4 residential units. The proposed development will provide 8 quadplexes at 8 units each for 64 units, 4 duplexes at 4 units each for 16, a total 80 units. So people might be saying there's no building in Grand Falls-Windsor. Well, there is, and there's lots of it. Funding provided to the town through the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund has played an important role in advancing development. The Housing Accelerator Fund assisted with the land acquisition from the Crown and with engineering design for the proposed street. Also, weather permitting, the developer would also like to have the foundations for all 12 buildings completed before the end of 2026. Construction of the subdivision infrastructure has commenced. The developer intends to begin construction of the residential buildings by September 2026 and is targeting completion of the subdivision infrastructure by the end of October 2026.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. And you're right, that is tremendous news for Grand Falls-Windsor to have that development going in there. We've been stagnant, I guess, for some years with respect to development, especially since the COVID years, and things went off the rails there for a few years, but we're certainly making up for it this season and this summer, and a lot of new developments and a lot more besides this as well that we'll be bringing to the public ear sooner or later, as soon as we can get them approved. Any more comments or questions with respect to the multi-unit residential subdivision, Chow Place? All in favour? Aye. Any opposed? Oh, this decision note. Sorry, Councillor Hiscock, thank you. Let's move on to item number 9.7. Discretionary use process at 86D Main Street.
Thank you, Mayor. Council direction is required on whether it is in favor of the proposed conversion of 86D Main Street to 2 residential dwellings units and proceeding with the discretionary use notification process. And I propose that council approve commencing the discretionary use notification process for the proposed conversion of 86D Main Street to 2 residential dwelling units.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Can I get a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor Cody. Thank you. Any more discussion with respect to the proposed units on 80D Main Street?
Thank you, Mayor.
86D.
An application has been received to convert the existing building at 86D Main Street, formerly used by the Salvation Army Resource Center, into 2 residential dwelling units. The preliminary layout submitted with the application shows 2 one-bedroom wheelchair accessible units. Each unit would have a separate entrance, living room, kitchen and dining area, bedroom and accessible bathroom. Recent amendments to the town's development regulations allow the conversion of an existing commercial building to residential use as a discretionary use. Therefore, the proposal must complete the prescribed discretionary use notification process before council considers whether to approve the proposed use. At this stage, council is not being asked to approve the conversion of the building. The requested direction is limited to initiating the public notification process. Any submissions received will be presented to council before a final decision is made on the discretionary use application.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Any more comments or questions with respect to the 86D Main Street discretionary use process? Councillor Janes.
Just for my own information, the brief time I've been here going through a lot of these building propositions is the first time that I've ever really noticed that somebody is particularly honing in on this type of a layout for our wheelchair accessible units and the people in our town. I've not seen one prior to my term here, and I hope this is a trend that continues for a while, because this is to me, this is a good news thing. And if we can get this going, and there's 4 or 5 more needs out there that can be picked up and looked after, I think it'll be a feather into the cap of the people of Grand Falls-Windsor. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Janes. Any more comments or questions with respect to 86D Main Street? Councillor Hollett, and then we'll go to Councillor Cody? No. Oh,
To reiterate what Councillor Janes had just said, it's very nice to see that the developments are including accessible, not only units, but the bathrooms are fully accessible. So we're certainly going in the right direction in regards to that. In regards to the location of this one, as I mentioned earlier this evening, normally in these core downtown areas, like the main streets and the high streets, I'm generally opposed to having residential in those areas, but the fact that where this one is located is more, it's down in the residential area. Like there's houses next, there's a house next to it, there's houses across the street. So it's not in the core Main Street downtown area, so to speak. So I am not opposed to this, and I am delighted, like Councillor Janes, to know that this is going to be inaccessible. And at this stage, it's only preliminary. We're just starting the process. And if there is any opposition to it, it'll come back to council, and we'll make a final decision on how we would proceed with this.
Councillor Hollett. Councillor Hiscock.
Yeah, and one other thing, Mayor, if I might, is that it's a building that's been vacant for many years. And we're repurposing a vacant building and putting it to good use, as Councillor Janes said. With regards of wheelchair accessible is something that's greatly needed in the town of Grand Falls-Windsor, and kudos to the developer.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Any more questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. Next item is number 9.8, proposed conversion of 84 Memorial Avenue to 4 residential apartments. Councillor Hiscock, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council direction is required on whether it is favor of the proposed conversion of the former clinic at 84 Memorial Avenue into 4 two-bedroom residential apartments, and if so, to proceed with the required discretionary use process. And I propose that council approve proceeding with the discretionary use process for the proposed conversion of the former clinic at 84 Memorial Avenue into 4 two-bedroom residential apartments.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Can I have a seconder for the resolution? Councillor Cody. Thank you. Any more comments or discussion with respect to this? Councillor Hiscock?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the town has received a preliminary proposal to convert the former clinic located at 84 Memorial Avenue into 4 two-bedroom residential apartments. The property is located within the commercial neighborhood zone. Recent amendments approved by council permit residential apartments within the zone as a discretionary use. Accordingly, the proposal is subject to the discretionary use process, including the required public notification and consideration of any submissions received. A preliminary floor plan has been provided showing 4 contained residential units, each containing 2 bedrooms, a kitchen and dining area, living room, bathroom, and laundry facilities. The applicant has advised that the estimated cost of proposal conversion is approximately $400,000. Final drawings and supporting information will be submitted to the Department of Public Works and Development if council supports proceeding with the proposal. And once again, Mayor, it's a building that's been vacant for a number of years. It's being repurposed, and the thing is why we changed our zoning regulations for this, and this is the reason for that. And like I said, it's another building that's been vacant, and it's going to be put to good use. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Any more discussions or questions with respect to the proposed conversion of 84 Memorial Avenue into 4 residential apartments? Councillor Hollett.
In regards to this one, it's already in the beauty of this one, it's already in a residential neighborhood. The other side of it is the Lincoln Road, but this is a standalone, and it's a Memorial Avenue, and it's always been kind of out there as a commercial. So converting it into residential, I think, is a good move in this location, and of course, it's increasing our occupancy rates is certainly going to be welcome. So 4 more units here. We might have lost 2 with our short-term rentals, but we've certainly gained. We're gaining 6 just here alone, not even counting the development, is just repurposing the buildings that we have. So I think it's a move in the right direction. Thank you.
Any more comments or questions? Go ahead, Mr. Finn.
Comment.
Yeah?
This discretionary use request, if, will get approved later after we go through discretionary process, presumably. And it allows for apartments to be built in the same way we had the request for at the end of Mill Road here, at the end of High Street, and on Main Street. All of those requests, if they're approved, they still remain within a commercial neighborhood zone or a downtown zone, but you're allowing ultimately residential living in those zones. So they kind of get the best of both worlds in these developments, because while council allows for discretion, would theoretically allow for residential use to occur, if the market demand changed in the future, they could easily convert back to commercial if the owner wanted to go back, because it still remains in those types of zones. So it just allows optimum use of the buildings now for what those owners see, but they still have the option of going back to commercial if they get a greater demand. Those buildings can produce a greater demand. From a commercial perspective, they could go back to that later if they want it. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You're not reducing the size of your zones, your residential neighborhood, or your commercial neighborhood zones or your downtown zones, but you are allowing increased units. So it's the best of both worlds as I see it.
Thank you, Mr. Finn. Any more comments with respect to 84 Memorial Avenue or questions? Okay, there being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. We'll move now to item 10.1 rather, our snow clearing regulation update, and Councillor Cody.
Thank you, Mayor. This is in regards to snow clearing regulations update. Changes were made to the snow clearing regulations to ensure the language aligns with the Towns and Local Service District Act and to improve certainty, clarity, and readability. And I recommend that council approve the changes to the snow clearing regulations as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Hiscock, thank you. Any more discussion? Councillor Cody.
No, not much. Just, again, as we've been revising a lot of our regulations lately and changing them into bylaws, it's just in accordance with the Towns and Local Service District Act. No major changes or any changes at all, really.
But what it does do, I think it strengthens our ability. On occasion, we get contractors who dump snow right in the corner of a road, and if you're traveling up the road, your vision is sort of blacked, and if you're coming out of the parking lot of the business and trying to get into Cromer Avenue, High Street, or Main Street, it makes it very, very difficult. And we've had some issues with that over the last couple of winters, and our municipal police have approached contractors and asked them to stop the practice, as it is very unsafe. These changes will give us a little bit more clout in being able to enforce anyone who doesn't go along with the snow clearing regulations. Any more comments or questions with respect to the proposed resolution? There being none, all in favor? Any opposed? The resolution is carried. We'll move on to item number 10.2, the hydrovac dumping pad.
Thank you. Hydrovac dumping pad. This decision is to approve the town submitting a Building Canada Strong Fund application for the construction of the new hydrovac dumping pad adjacent to the existing wastewater treatment facility. And I recommend that council supports applying for the hydrovac dumping pad construction through the BCSF in the amount of $121,870.10, HST included.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor James? Any more discussion, Councillor Cody?
Yeah, just, to let the public know exactly what this is. It's basically a concrete pad that would allow us to dump the contents of our vac truck on a safe location that would kind of transfer that down into the water treatment facility, the sewer treatment facility, not the water treatment, not our drinking water, our sewer, but, graded and would have a grate at the end and just would allow us to dispose of that safely instead of, having to do it at the dump sites and whatnot. And again, there could be other opportunities that could come from this, but, our facility is, we have staff there consistently, and it just makes sense for us to be able to do that, and it just strengthens, our ability to treat our own sewer as we should be treating it.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more comments or questions with respect to the hydrovac dumping pad? None? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. Move on to item number 10.3 and the taxation receivable analysis for July 2026.
Thank you, Mayor. Taxation receivable analysis, July 2026. The information note is prepared by staff, reviewed by council, and provides a summary of taxation receivables as of July 31st, 2026. The total taxation receivables amount to $7,080,518.73, which is an increase of $854,013.33, or 13.72%, compared to the previous year. Monthly collections for July 2026 were $1,528,718, or approximately 18% of the outstanding receivables entering the month. 41% of the outstanding balance relates to residents and businesses currently on pre-authorized payment plans. Please contact the town at 489-0402, 0403, or 0404 with any questions about your tax bill. Interest continues to accumulate to your account for any outstanding balance. There are payment plans available for those who would rather pay their balance throughout the year, and there is no interest applied to those who sign up on the pre-authorized payments. So management will continue to, and staff will continue to monitor taxation receivables and use all necessary methods of collection to lower the outstanding balance each month.
Thank you, Councillor Coley. Any more comments or questions with respect to the information note on the taxation receivable analysis for July? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to item number 10.4, the labor report for the week, for week 26 and the period ending June 27th, 2026.
Thank you. This is the labor report prepared August 19th, 2026. Council is provided with a summary of labor costs for Public Works, Parks, Fire Hall, and Exploits Regional Water Supply Committee up to June 27th, 2026, which is week 26. Labor costs at the June 27th, 2026 date were $1,942,280, which was $173,847, or 8.22% under budget of $2,116,127. So this is certainly a positive result halfway through the year. Management will continue to monitor labor costs as we head into the second half of the year. Part of the excess relates to the original budget containing a small increase that was not applied as contract negotiations were ongoing. Now that negotiations have finished and the actual increase is known, this will be reflected in the next labor report. So again, management will continue to monitor labor costs moving forward to ensure budget is met for the remainder of the year.
Thank you, Councillor Cody, for the information note with respect to the labor report. Any questions or comments with respect to the labor report? Oh, Councillor Hullett.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wondering, the numbers are, we're under budget, and it's nice to see. And we did budget for the potential of the collective bargaining and potential increases that we could have. But I'm wondering, is this actual amount, is this a reflection, are we at a reduced number of staff? Like, are there a significant number of positions that are vacant that is contributing to this being under budget? Or are we full staff, or, so where would we be in regards to that? Thank you.
Mr. Goss or Mr. Finn, one of you guys to answer that question?
Jointly contribute, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, certainly there are some vacancies, and some vacancies due to positions being vacant and not filled, and there's others vacancies due to various types of leave that would contribute to, but I don't have any, I don't have the exact number of positions or weeks that are vacant that contributes to this result, but it certainly contributes, to answer your question, to it being this kind of report. I don't know, Steve, you want to add any more?
Yeah, I mean, there would be vacancies for sure. I mean, we're still hiring a few positions, and our budget is done based on every position that we're hoping to have being filled at all times. I've been here since 2018. I don't think there's been a year where we've had every position filled throughout the whole year. So that's kind of just a normal part of it. So yeah, like it definitely has an impact on it. And in a perfect world, we'd have them all filled so we can get more production and more, productivity out of our staff. But yeah, I mean, right now it's a good thing, like you said, that we're under budget from a financial standpoint. But yeah, we're still working to get those positions filled. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Finn. Any more comments or questions with respect to the labor report? Councillor Janes.
I think it's important for a lot of people to remember and understand something, and I'm just getting to understand it myself. It's not like the town hasn't put out a really good campaign to hire new bodies and to try to get these positions filled. Like in this day and age now, and I think we better get ourselves prepared, because there is a lot of potential job openings that are here now and that are going to come. Mining is starting up. All this stuff is going to come eventually, and it's going to be tough to staff and restaff certain places, especially in our own community. For example, we advertised for 4 people to come on board with our Public Works and Parks Department, which are really, really fine positions, and we had a bit of a struggle to get some qualified candidates to accept these jobs. Not because they're not good jobs or not good paying jobs, but because the market is out there and it's becoming very tough. When you got PEI looking for 4,000 jobs, skilled laborers, you know, that's a big hit. There's only 130,000 people on Prince Edward Island. You got Bay du Nord that's coming. We got a gold mine, possibly another one. These are going to all require top-notch workers. And while it's a boon for us to look at it on paper, that we got all these potential opportunities, the workforce is crucial, or lack of is crucial for us going forward. And we need to be prepared. So whatever we can do to help the process, get proper people in here, all of us combined are really going to have to put our heads to the millstone and really come up with some suggestions to be creative. Thank you.
Right. Councillor James, we're competing with the mining industry as we speak and other industries as well. And like you said, there's another gold mine that's going to open at some point soon. There might be a nickel mine open at some point soon. So the competition to hire our workers and the competition we will face to keep our workers will be significant. I don't think there's anywhere in the country now that they're not looking for heavy-duty mechanics or heavy-duty operators and paying a significant amount of money for those operators. I saw an advertisement last night, almost $250,000 a year for a heavy equipment operator. Now, granted, it's in Western Canada, but still, that's a significant amount of money. So, we will prepare for that challenge that we're going to face, as you noted, Councillor James. Go ahead, sir.
You know, and as was brought up here a couple of times over the since October 2nd passed, you know, we used to be placed very, very well in the skilled trades training. You know, we had a trade school here for many, many years, second to none, even considering the Trades and Tech Center in St. John's. But at that particular time, the computer age came in. Now we got the AI. Did I say AI? I did. But we're back to skilled tradespeople again. You got to build the infrastructure. And it's hard to recruit these people. And to my view, sometimes I think we don't go to grade 12 to recruit, we go to grade 10 and 11. We put on these job fairs and show them. You know, like, I know there's businesses in this town that are having a hard time retaining car mechanics, welders, pipe fitters. The jobs are there, but if you can't get the uptake, it puts a strain on the existing systems and the people that are in place. And it's a good problem, but it's becoming a bit tough to solve.
Thank you, Councillor James. Anywhere, Councillor Hullett.
Just to reiterate, it's going to get extremely tough. The industry that I'm working in, it's becoming tougher and tougher every single day. And unfortunately, as Councillor James had pointed out, our training in the area is not happening locally. I don't know if that's something that we can pursue as a council, or if we can just approach the proper government agencies, because it's not until all of this happens, there's going to be a great demand for trades workers. And unfortunately, as a council, we have to, as Councillor James pointed out, we have to keep that in the forefront of our thoughts, because the frontline workers are the ones that keep this town ticking. They're the ones that clear the snow. They're the ones that make sure everything is functioning. Not to take away from management, but those are the ones, I mean, we're going to be looking at them. They're the ones that are going to clear the snow and pick up the garbage and so on and so forth. So we have to be very proactive as a council to ensure that we do not lose any more, and if we have to revisit things that we've been doing or plan to do, we certainly have to keep that in the forefront of our thoughts, because it's going to get a lot harder before it's going to get better. Like I said, it's a good problem to have, but unfortunately, as a council, we have to think about that, as Councillor James had pointed out, and we need to get proactive on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hullett. Any more questions or comments? Okay, thank you for that information, Councillor Cody, and we'll move on to item number 10.5, and is the decision with respect to the salt and sand shed upgrades tender.
Thank you. So a decision is required to award the tender for upgrades to the sand and salt shed. The proposed resolution is that council award the tender of the salt sand shed upgrades to Bluebird Investments in the amount of $129,690 plus HST, This amounts to $135,248.51 net of the HST rebate, which is $14,751.49 under the proposed budget of $150,000. This work is required to refurbish the previous salt and sand shed using the existing foundation. The previous wooden structure has been removed, and this one will replace it. This is required for the storage of salt sand that has already been mixed and prepared for use in winter operations. And I recommend that council award the salt sand upgrades to Bluebird Investments.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for the resolution? Councillor Hiscock, thank you. Any comments or questions with respect to the tender award? Okay, Councillor Hollett.
Thank you, Mayor. So it says that the wooden structure has been removed, and we already have the salt sand mix ready for winter. Is that correct?
No, we got the old structure's removed, but we're going to rebuild it on the same foundation, and we're going to, when we do mix the salt sand, we will put it in this new structure.
So will this be completed before the winter season starts?
That's the goal, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Brown.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hollett. Any more questions or comments? We got a resolution on the floor. It's good to see the tender was awarded to a local company as well in Bluebird Investments. We got a resolution, we got a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is carried. And we'll now move on to item number 10.6, and that's a decision note with respect to our animal control regulations.
Thank you, Mayor. Animal control regulations, in addition to the existing regulations. Council is requested to approve the inclusion of the proposed feeding wildlife provisions in the town's animal control regulations. The purpose of the provisions is to establish a clear and enforceable municipal standard regarding the intentional feeding of wildlife and placement of wildlife attractants on private property, and to provide municipal enforcement officers with the authority to address situations where accessible or leftover food attracts wildlife, particularly rodents, and creates concerns for surrounding properties and the neighborhood. So the recommendation is that staff recommends that council approve the inclusion of the proposed feeding wildlife provisions in the animal control regulations.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor James, thank you. Any more discussion, Councillor Cody?
I can just provide a little more context. So the provision we're looking to add, or the revision we're looking to add, is feeding wildlife 10A. Nuisance feeding of wildlife is not permitted. Nuisance feeding of wildlife is determined when any of the following conditions exist within a residential zone. 1, food is routinely placed so that it attracts or congregates wildlife. Or 2, feeding results in an accumulation of feces or discarded food. Or 3, feeding results in an increased concentration of wildlife that interferes with the reasonable use or enjoyment of another residential property. Or 4, feeding results in feces being deposited on a neighboring private property or public property, including buildings, vehicles, decks, walkways, or other structures or surfaces, to interfere with the reasonable enjoyment of that property. And Part 10B, with the exception of suspended above-grade bird feeders designed primarily for smaller wild birds, no person shall place or allow any device or other material to be placed outdoors in such a manner as to intentionally or unintentionally attract wildlife on private property. Bird feeders shall be sufficiently above grade so as not to attract or be accessible by wildlife, and if spillage of seeds should reach the ground, it shall be removed by the property owner immediately and disposed of in a manner so as not to attract wildlife. And 10C, council may grant exemption to any provisions of this bylaw and impose conditions for such exemption as may be considered reasonable and necessary, provided such exemption does not interfere with the general integrity of this bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion or comments with respect to the animal control regulations addition? Councillor Hollett.
I see here it says within a residential zone, but this could actually apply to commercial zones as well. So do we have any plan to update that to include the commercial zone? Because I know there are some businesses that have been feeding wildlife, so I know it's meant for the residential, but it can still be a concern in a commercial zone. So I don't know if that would the entire animal control bylaw encapsulate the commercial and the residential, or if it would have to be reflected here as well.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
This particular language is based on discussion with council, and it was specific for residential zones because that's primarily where the concern was coming from. I hadn't heard any discussion up to this point that residential zone or commercial zones were an issue. And I suppose I assumed that some feeding of wildlife occurs in like public parks, like ducks and that kind of stuff, that wasn't really the intention to impact, and those kinds of spaces aren't really inclined to cause a negative impact on a residential zone or someone enjoying their own property. So that's why it was excluded, kind of narrowed in the focus of the regulation just to deal with residential areas and not to broaden it beyond that. Council certainly able to, even in tonight, to amend it or make those kinds of changes or suggestions. And we as staff can go back and reconsider that for you and give you new suggestions. But this was intentionally focused just on residential zones and not other zones.
Go ahead, Councillor Holland.
I agree with the parks, but they would be considered natural open spaces or conservation areas, so I'm not referring to those areas. I'm referring specifically to commercial buildings, as like if someone was feeding gulls in a area. I mean, that's something that would be, we certainly wouldn't want even in a commercial zone. So I'm not referring to like the natural open spaces or the parks or any of that. It would just be, and I'm just picking up on this now, that it's just residential and not both.
And so what we'll do is
Thank you.
that, that's on the agenda for our next committee of the whole meeting, and we'll discuss this same for commercial areas.
Yeah, it would be good tonight through this discussion if I could understand if council was interested in broadening it. Just in terms of process, if I may, Mayor, this language, presumably if it's approved by council this evening, will be added to the animal control regulations, which are being updated as a bylaw. That'll occur in the next meeting. That's why this is isolated away from the regulations, even though it'll be added so soon. There's only a month, and it'll just be added into the regulations. So it's very easy to do any changes in terms of procedurally, and of course council can make any change they want at any time for that matter, right?
Okay, any more comments or questions with respect to the
Yes, Mayor,
animal control regulations?
Just a personal aside here. You know, situations like this are always hard to kind of get a grasp on. But I just think two things that I'm going to keep in mind in my neighborhood is try to rely on common sense and courtesy to your neighbor and their neighbors. And just, you know, if there is an issue, you know, like adults, have a little chat here, help out or whatever, but common sense and courtesy can go a long way, even in this day and age. And sometimes we lack it. So I know in my neighborhood, we haven't had too many issues, but when we do have a little chat, we figure it all out. Thank you, Mayor.
And certainly we're protecting some residents here because we've had reports of some residents that overdo it with the feeding of wildlife on their properties. And so it happens, the wildlife shows up every morning and eat, and of course the bird feces and droppings are all over the neighbor's house and all over his truck or his car or whatever. So this will go a long ways in protecting our residents. To no resident of Grand Falls-Windsor should ever have to go through that, wake up every morning and have bird droppings all over your roof, your front window or your vehicle or all over your driveway. I mean, that's unacceptable. So this is what these regulations were aimed to curb, and I think we've been successful in doing that. And I know you prepared the regulations yourself and some quite on short notice, so you did a great job at that as well. Okay, we got to move. Any more comments or suggestions? Councillor Cody.
Thank you. I'm struggling. Actually, I'm not struggling because I know I'm going to vote on this tonight. I understand that there are some areas in the community that neighbors are having issue with another neighbor what they say is excessive feeding, which is causing some trouble. But I also know there are a large amount of our residents who do enjoy the songbirds, have the feeders in their backyard, have them, safely placed, high up, attached to windows. Some of them even have cameras on them so they can watch the birds while they're not at home. I struggle with the wording in this proposed regulation because I don't know how we're going to enforce it. What's a nuisance to someone is not necessarily a nuisance to somebody else. The line in here about, where is it? About having to clean up seed that falls to the ground immediately. I don't know if you've seen the size of bird seed, but unless you've got a catch basin underneath your bird feeder, it's going to be very difficult to clean up bird seed that falls into grass. So, and then of course there's the debris from sunflower seeds that certain birds do enjoy. Some birds flick the seed away to just get the sunflower seeds. And I think it's just some of the wording in this proposed policy just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know how you can go to someone's neighborhood and knock on the door and tell them that the bird feeder that is attached to the tree in their backyard that squirrels can't access, that is, secured as it should be. It's got, it's a proper bird feeder designed specifically for songbirds. Squirrels can't access it. Everything that they try to do to make sure they don't have these other issues. But again, things fall from those feeders. And it's not just birdseed that attracts rodents. It's anything. Certain type of flowers in your garden. People with backyard gardens, community gardens in their backyard, that attracts rodents. It's a food source. So when we start regulating, as strictly as I feel this is going to be, we're just opening ourselves up to a whole lot of unnecessary feedback from the members of our community who really take great pleasure in being able to have these bird feeders in their backyard or in their garden or even in their neighbor's garden. Like some people like that their neighbor has the bird feeder because they can watch the birds, on the fences or trees or whatever in their neighbor's backyard. So I just feel like we're regulating ourselves to a point where we can't enforce this. It's going to be very, very difficult to enforce it. It's going to cause, I think, some anxiety in neighbors who enjoy these, who are now going to second guess, like, oh my gosh, is my neighbor going to complain because I have this bird feeder? If they see a mouse, on their back porch, are they going to blame that on me? I think we're instilling unnecessary anxiety in a lot of these situations. So I think these are too strict. I think they're too regimented, and I don't know that it's necessary.
Okay, with respect to your question on enforcement, you know, if you wake up on continuous mornings and your driveway, your vehicle, and your house are full of bird feces, you would phone the council. We would go up, and our municipal enforcement, I guess Mr. Finn would go up and review the area that the complaint was issued to. And if it's found, like, my gosh, look at the bird feces in the driveways, all over your truck, it's all on your roof, that's excessive. And this is all we're trying to stop. We all know that the bird feeders in their back garden, if they're not hung a little bit higher, attract rodents. And as you said, other like community gardens in your back garden could attract rodents too. But we know for sure that bird feeders do attract rodents, and that's why we ask them to be hung high. Now, with having said all that, unless your neighbor complains that, my gosh, what's going on over next door? Every morning I get up lately, there's bird droppings on, all of a sudden you notice the bird feeders are on the ground, or is there a load of bird feed on the ground? That's when we would act. We understand people like to feed the birds and enjoy feeding the birds and wildlife, but you need to be able to do it in a respectful and use your common sense when doing this. Like if you're destroying your neighbor's property, your neighbor's roof, right? Because the gulls or the crows are showing up every morning waiting for the food from the neighbor, right? And then they hang around all day. Well, that's excessive, and that's all we're trying to stop here. We're not trying to stop anybody from feeding the birds or having a bird feeder. All we're trying to do is protect the residents. And in this case, we're putting the resident before the wildlife, right? Which I think is what we were elected to do. So unless, Councillor Cody, there's an excessive, like we know of one only in town right now that we've had continuous complaints about, and we're going to deal with that now through these regulations. But I don't know of any other complaints that came in with respect to people feeding birds or having bird feeders in their back garden. I don't think we've had another complaint since October 2nd, since the election. So all we're doing is putting the residents before the wildlife. We're not saying you can't feed birds. We're not saying you can't feed wildlife. We're saying if you're going to do that, you need to do it in a responsible fashion. That's all we're saying. Any more comments or questions with respect to the Animal Control Regulations Edition? Councillor Cody.
I think that was exactly my point, Mayor. Like all of these regulations here are really making it difficult for the responsible residents in this community who enjoy doing this. It's making very difficult for them to continue to be able to do that. It's the individual or individuals who are excessively feeding that are the problem. I think we need to find a solution to enforce regulations regarding the excessive feeding and the attraction of wildlife, not penalize the residents who are following the rules currently and getting some enjoyment from this activity.
I don't see how we're penalizing anybody, only the resident who's excessively feeding wildlife on their property. I've never heard a complaint come from anybody that had a bird feeder since I've been on council since 2016, that had a bird feeder in their back garden. We never had, now we had some complaints because the bird feeders were on the ground and the neighbor's garden were full of rodents, right? But I think we've done a great job with respect to these enforcement regulations. We finally got something that we can stop the excessive feeding of wildlife on residential properties that attract wildlife that leave feces all over the neighbor's truck, the neighbor's driveway, the neighbor's windows, and the neighbor's roof. That's all we're trying to do here is protect the resident. We're not going after anybody that got a bird feeder in the back garden. I've never heard a complaint since October 2nd on that. No complaints. We've had one. But I don't see how we're making it difficult for resident A to have a bird feeder hung in his back garden. I don't think that's what this is about. In fact, I'm sure it's not.
Well, clearly I'm reading it differently than you, because these all seem to be directed at the responsible bird feeders, like having to clean up bird seed before it hits the ground. I mean, how do you do that? Right? Like the bird feeders, like they're designed to attract specific types of birds, but birds don't distinguish. The crow doesn't say to the blue jay, "That's mine, you can't have it." The chickadee doesn't say to the blue jay, save me the little seeds, you can have the sunflower seeds. Like, it doesn't work that way. And again, it's just too regimented. And I think it's the excessive feeding that's the problem that needs to be addressed, not targeting responsible bird lovers.
And then we're not targeting them, in my opinion. We're giving our enforcement MEOs, our municipal enforcement officers, a little bit of clout, so that when they do get a complaint, we've had one complaint with respect to this, one complaint. It wasn't about a bird feeder, right, and it wasn't about bird feeders hung. I mean, obviously, if you come out in your back garden and then your bird feeders drop, yes, we'd love for you to clean it up, because that attracts rodents and tracks them pretty quickly. So that would be against the regulations. But I would suspect our residents are responsible enough and got enough common sense to know that, yes, I can have a bird feeder in my back garden. I can't have it on the ground because it attracts the rats to the property and the mice and whatever else. So this is all we're doing here. We're not attacking the guy or the lady that got a bird feeder in their back garden. All we're doing is giving our municipal enforcement officers a bit of clout, and so that when we do get a complaint that the resident on Street A says, "Gee, come up and look at my property for a second, will you? I got the neighbor next door is excessively feeding the birds." That's what this is all about, and nothing else, in my opinion. Okay, are there any more comments or questions with respect? Councillor Janes.
I just when we discussed this a little recently, I think it was put pretty clear. I know I was pretty clear on it. You know, like, we're not just going to have an MEO. If somebody calls in and says, we got John Doe on 15 Dump Road doing blah, 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 send the MEOs down. I think the consensus was, if you got an issue with something like that, provide the MEOs with hard, fast proof. Not just a verbal accusation. Show us the evidence. I thought that's how we based all this on.
Right.
That the onus is on the person with the complaint to provide the evidence in whatever way, shape, or form they feel is necessary for them to get their point across. Then the MEOs have to make a decision on that basis. I thought that was a big part of our discussion.
And it was. Any more comments, questions? We got a mover and a second. Councillor Hollett.
Just to reiterate again, Councillor Janes, we did have a lengthy discussion on this, and it kind of went back and forth. And I think what we have here now has been a good solution to solve a lot of the problems that we were encountering. It's very broad language. It's taking in wildlife. So, I mean, whatever that would capture, I mean, whether it crawls, walks, or flies, I mean, we have it in here. So we're not singling out whether it's birds or it's rodents or it's anything in particular. It's considered wildlife. And I think that has eliminated this clear thing for the bird feeders as such. And I mean, it's one of those things that's very difficult because we are not having a numerous amount of complaints in regard to this, as you had stated. And I totally understand. I enjoy the birds as well. So I can appreciate that. But I think, as was mentioned, common sense in this is the thing. And I can understand Councillor Cody's concern with its being very regimented. And I get that as well. But it's not that we are taking this piece of bylaw or regulations that we're using here now, and we're going to go out and look for this. This is going to be enforced only on a complaint basis. It's not going to be the MEO is driving down the road and identify a bird feeder that's on the ground and there's birds around. I don't think that's the intent of what this is. The intent of this is to give, when there is a complaint that's documented, that we have the photos, we have a video, we have the excessive amount of bird droppings on someone's vehicle. It's a true legitimate complaint. Then at least this gives the MEO somewhere to actually go with enforcement. It'll be clear what our procedure would be, And the Towns and Local Service Districts Act clearly tells what the penalties are when there are violations to bylaws. It kind of takes it out of our hands. And I think that the wording that we have finally decided on here, I think is about as good as we can get it. I do understand with the property owner cleaning up immediately any bird seed that falls down. Yeah, I can see where that wording can be a little construed. But I think the whole practice of this, and I think the purpose of this, and where we have ended up with this right now, I think we're in a good place with this. Thank you.
The vast majority of our residents understand what we're doing here. We're certainly not cutting out feeding the birds if that's what you desire to do. We're cutting out the excessive feeding of birds that cause the neighbor to live in discomfort, because every morning he gets up, pulls his drapes, nothing but bird feces, and then goes to get in his truck, nothing but bird feces all over his truck, caused by the neighbor's excessive feeding. Okay, any more questions or comments before we move into the vote? We got a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Resolution is carried by a vote of 4-1 for the minutes, and we'll move on now to item number 11.1. Councillor Hollett, please.
Thank you. Decision note, hosting of the 2027 Fire and Emergency Services Training School and Fire Training Ground improvements. And the decision is, Council is being asked to confirm whether the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor is prepared to host the 2027 Fire and Emergency Services Training School, scheduled for May 29th to June 4th, 2027, and to support the priority improvements required at the town's fire training grounds in preparation for the event. So the recommendation, lots of pages. It is recommended that Council approve, in principle, the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor hosting the 2027 Fire and Emergency Services Training School from May 29th to June 4th, 2027, subject to provincial fire services confirming the availability of appropriate accommodation and classroom facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollett. Can I get a seconder for Councillor Hollett's resolution? Councillor James. Any more discussion with respect to the acceptance for the town to host the Fire and Emergency Services Training School next spring? Okay, and this can be nothing but a good thing for the town of Grand Falls-Windsor to have over 300 firefighters in town for a week and at our training facility on New Bay Road. And the big winners will certainly be the firemen themselves, and the town of Grand Falls-Windsor business community will certainly be happy to receive the 300 visitors we have coming for that occasion. I know the town is going to be responsible for making some adjustments to the training grounds in order for this to go ahead, and I think we've gone over those and we're ready to make any changes that are needed to ensure that this is a successful firefighting training school. Any more comments, or Councillor Hiscock?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, well, that training school actually is going to have between 400 and 500 people here in town. Grand Falls-Windsor was always a hub for fire training in Newfoundland and Labrador. For one, centrally located, and of course our facilities. In of course the last 2 years now we lost our smokehouse, and this is what this is doing now, bringing that back up to standard, getting our new smokehouse done, and improvements to the grounds. We got a new building down there, dirty room, they call it. Basically what it is just put your bunker gear in, let it dry for the next day's activities, training. But this is a big thing. This is a real big thing. We want to bring Grand Falls-Windsor Fire Rescue and Grand Falls-Windsor back to being a central area for fire training in Newfoundland, Labrador. So, like I said, we're perfectly centered in that there across the island, because the firefighters in Port aux Basques don't have to go all the way to St. John's and vice versa. And a lot of it is just financially prohibitive. But they can come to Grand Falls-Windsor. So I endorse this 100% and can't wait for it for next year. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Any more comments or questions with respect to this item? Councillor James.
I couldn't agree more with my buddy and colleague, Councillor Hiscock. I think this is a wonderful thing. I've driven by that facility a couple of times, and you can tell that this is a professional course, And also in light of our recent discussion last week at the ski lodge, where we had that study done on fire, I can't remember the name of it. Wildfire resilience. What a wonderful briefing that was. Like what you can do around your own home, what your neighbors can do to help. You know, let's not forget now, Badger had to relocate here for a couple of days last year. And we were lucky enough to be able to accommodate them if they needed us. And it's not the first tragedy in that area. Let's not forget the fires out on the East Coast last year, where we had firefighters from this town and equipment from this town dispatched to help with those fires. And there's nothing that says that can't happen in Grand Falls-Windsor, because it sure as heck can. And to have a firefighting school here like this for as long as it is, with a firefighting group that this town has as our volunteers, and the excitement you see generated with the young people coming in, this can only enhance it. And I agree with Councillor Hiscock. We once were the forestry capital of Canada, not Newfoundland and Labrador, of Canada. And there's no reason why we can't reach for the stars on something to do with forest firefighting and the like, again, in this day and age. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor James. Any more comments or questions with respect to the firefighting training services coming to Grand Falls-Windsor? Go ahead, Councillor Hollett.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. I think any investments that we do in regards to the fire department, whether it's with this training or it's with the resiliency plan, anything that we're doing for the firefighters is going to not only benefit us personally, but it's going to benefit our community and our province. So, I mean, where we can, I think we should. And we should even look at even further more things that we can do to certainly help with the fire department that we have here. And with this resiliency plan, the wildfire resiliency plan that we're talking about, I mean, those are all good things. And I think the more proactive we are in ensuring that we are prepared. I mean, you're never truly prepared for any of those disasters, but the more prepared that we can be and the more proactive we are in this and the more we can invest in our firefighters and the facilities that they use, I think it's going to be a good thing for everyone involved. Thank you.
Councillor Hollett. And we did receive $75,000 from Minister Tibbs to do a wildfire resiliency plan. And for example, the contractors or the coordinator will go around different areas of Grand Falls-Windsor and say, it might be a good idea to have the woods backed off another 50 feet in this area. You know, it's 30 feet from the house, that's a bit close. Then they'll go on to the next section of town and they'll go like that. And at the end of the study, we will have a wildfire resiliency plan for Grand Falls-Windsor, and most important, for sure. Okay, any more questions, comments with respect to that? We have a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. Okay, we'll now move into new business. And tonight, I'm starting, where, Councillor Hiscock, you mentioned before the meeting? Councillor Cody, please.
Thank you. I have some congratulations to pass out this evening. I want to say congratulations to Parker Flynn of Grand Falls-Windsor, a young gentleman here in our community. He just won a silver medal at the Atlantic Track and Field Championships in Nova Scotia this past July. Parker is fairly new to the track and field sport, no previous experience. Attended Memorial University last year, tried out for track and field, and gained a spot on the varsity team at Memorial University, which is no small feat. There has to be some talent there for sure to, have no previous experience, try out for your first year among a lot of elite athletes who have been training their whole lives, and to make university varsity, well done, Parker. He is excelling in the world of sprinting, which is a tough thing to do. His coach is Dr. Jennifer Stender. Last year, he competed in the Atlantic University Championships and the McGill Classic in Montreal, and clocked personal bests in both of those races. He's also a member of the men's relay team, He's heading back to Mon now in just a few weeks, so I just want to wish him success in the upcoming season. Keep working hard, and we look forward to hearing some more great things from him. So congratulations, Parker. Keep it up. And for me as well, it's hard to believe Labor Day is coming, which means back to school. Teachers are preparing classrooms now, which is always nice to see, for the parents especially. But the teachers, they take such great pride in decorating their classrooms and making them such a welcoming environment for students. I love seeing the pictures on Facebook when they have their classrooms completed. So that's wonderful. I know there's always opportunities for members in the community to donate to the teachers in their classrooms. They're always looking for games, puzzles, books, things that can enhance the learning experience in their classroom. So if you're doing, your regular purge around your house, instead of just, discarding something, I'm not telling you to take a box full of what you don't want anymore and drop it off at the school, because they don't want an abundance of items that they don't need. But reach out to the schools and ask, do they have a need for a particular item? Would they like to have, a particular game or set of books or whatnot? And I'm sure they would be happy to accept them. As well, the need, of course, for book bags and school supplies, I keep hearing in the news, is greater and greater every year. The Stuff the Bus campaigns, I think one happened recently. The Association for New Canadians, the Status of Women Central, and the Y2C, they do programs as well. So, if you want to donate a book bag full of supplies, reach out to one of those organizations. I'm sure they'd be willing to accept. And again, you can donate directly to the schools as well. The teachers and administration in the schools do have an awareness of who could be in need, and can do so very discreetly, making sure that all students have equal opportunities and have the supplies that they need when they go back to school. So to the teachers, the students, whether you're going back to, primary, elementary, junior high, high school, college students, trade school students, and university students, just want to wish them a successful year. Safe travels to wherever, the university and college students now, wherever they're planning to attend. And just be safe and make good choices is what I tell my kids all the time.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. And congratulations, Parker Flynn. Track and field used to be huge here in the 70s in Grand Falls-Windsor. We had big programs, a lot of kids took place, including myself at the time. And so this might be the tip we needed to, Mr. Mercer, this might be the tip that we needed to reintroduce track and field to Grand Falls-Windsor. And every Sunday in the 70s, or a portion of the 70s, used to be a road race in Grand Falls-Windsor. 40, 50 people come out in different categories and different age groups for the race. It was just great events, and track and field was so big. So we'll have that chat soon with respect to track and field in Grand Falls-Windsor. And it's a great sport, and I anticipate a lot of kids taking part if that comes to fruition. Councillor Janes.
Mayor, before I get started, there's no question you were quite fleet of foot.
Not only that, it was quick.
Okay. I know we've had a tough summer, weather-wise. We haven't had the best of days. We haven't really had the worst of days. However, we have had some good days. For example, this past Saturday, the Rally in the Valley, 2026, Shawnee Centennial Field, August 22nd. We were happy to partner on the 3rd annual Rally in the Valley last Saturday at the Shawnee Centennial Field. More than 1,500 people came to the field to enjoy the event. Yeah, 1,500. 125 registrations across cars, trucks, motorcycles, non-vintage vehicles. Thank you to Trevor Davis and his team for all the effort he puts into the planning and running of this outstanding event. To our staff who were there day and night to pull this off, start to finish, incredible work. Thank you to our local businesses who put their support behind the event. Exploits Home Hardware and Building Center, Paul and Nick Kennedy, Jewer Law, Tina Jewer, Kivik, Rick Moss, TNT Consign and Sell, Tony Martin and family, Central Dairies, David Joy. Happy to see local charities involved and so many being able to raise funds for the great work they do in our communities. This is so important. The Maxine Davis Foundation, Grand Falls-Windsor Community Kitchen, the Lions Club of Grand Falls-Windsor. So good to say that name again. Grand Falls-Windsor Fire Department and the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment. Thank you to our special events team for all they do to make every event successful. Stay tuned for an update around Christmas on all who will be helped by funds raised during the rally in the Valley. Heck of a program. Perfectly Centered ATV Poutine Festival. There's lots to be enjoyed left, still to come. The weather will get better. September 25th and 26th is when this is going to take place. Friday night there will be a gourmet buffet. Kick off the weekend with 10 stations of delicious food prepared by chefs John Higgins and Roy McPherson. Go to our website. Get all the information. This note is too big, too long to read. You would be bored if I kept going on it. But I had to talk about the ride and brunch on Saturday. The Saturday all-you-can-eat poutine festival, which I will not miss. Saturday night stadium dance. Keep the party going with live music from man down. The dance is open to the public, so you don't have to attend the rest of the festival just to join the fun. $10 at the door. A combined festival and accommodation package will be available through the Mount Peyton Hotel, making it easier than ever to turn the festival into a full weekend getaway. The link will be provided to this package. Did I mention the poutine? Like it's going to be some serious stuff here. I got to go back to it. Come hungry. Sample your way through 8 mouth-watering poutine stations, featuring original creations from our talented chefs. September 25th and 26th, get online, get the information, sign up. This is a big event. Rain or shine is not going to affect that one. The last one. I want to say welcome to the Windsor Stadium 50th anniversary. I want you to welcome you to the Windsor Stadium's 50th anniversary celebratory group. Somebody once said about the Windsor Stadium 50 years ago, it took 5 years to plan and 6 months to build and become fully operational. That's incredible. In 2026, Windsor Stadium proudly celebrates 50 years of sports, community, and unforgettable memories. This group has been created to bring together athletes, coaches, volunteers, fans, families, and friends who have been part of the stadium's history throughout the years. Our goal as a committee and a council is to celebrate the people, teams, and moments that made Windsor Stadium such an important part of our community. Windsor Stadium continues to be a much-needed and cherished facility for our town. Today, it operates 12 months per year. We encourage everyone to join this group on Facebook and share their memories, old photos, favorite teams and stories from the past 50 years. Paraphernalia has already started to be collected, and the Pearl Cater room is being prepared as we speak to display various items starting this weekend with a big hockey game in town, which I'll get to shortly. Some events have already taken place since February. A community skate, hot chocolate, and cake ceremony took place on the official anniversary date. I was there, the mayor was there, councilors, all our councilors were there, big crowd, and a lot of new Canadians partook in that celebration. The second thing we had this summer was a major, kind of like a yard sale, craft sale at the Windsor Stadium. Finally, a couple of weeks ago, I got to get back to my notes. We honored the 25th anniversary of the Windsor Chiefs winning the National Ball Hockey Championship. Yes, the Nationals. And plenty more events are in the planning stages as we continue to honor the stadium. We will be doing various events on a regular basis till mid-late December, because this is a year-long program that we have committed to. And the Windsor Stadium and the people that put that stadium there originally deserve a celebration. Upgrades at the stadium have been completed so far, with more along the way as the year progresses. Our staff have worked diligently to hit the targets. Saturday, there is a CHL hockey game, August 29th at 4 p.m. Another event during the 50th anniversary of the Windsor Stadium celebrations this year. This is a key event. This is a marquee event. It's between the Newfoundland Regiment Hockey Club and the Saginaw Spirit of the Ontario Hockey League. This is part of a 3-game preseason series across central and western Newfoundland and Labrador. It marks the first ever visit by an Ontario Hockey League team to Newfoundland and Labrador for preseason play. Based in the U.S., the Saginaw team are only 2 years removed from winning the Memorial Cup. Tickets are available online and at the door 1 hour prior to the game, and tickets are now moving. And we have a history of lining up at the door. So if you're going to wait, you're going to be taking your chances on Saturday. And it's supposed to be 28 degrees, so come prepared. Plus, there are also 2 practices scheduled on Saturday, and are open to the public. The Saginaw Spirit will practice at 10 a.m., and the Newfoundland Regiment will practice at 11 a.m. Saturday morning. Again, public is invited. They will be bringing in a multitude of officials, not because we're not capable. This is a Hockey Canada sanctioned set. These teams are almost finished picking their rosters because their league will start up in approximately 2 weeks. They have full rosters with a couple of people that what we would call are on the bubble trying to make this team. These teams are almost picked. These games are going to mean something. They have to be officiated properly. Hockey Canada standards have to be enforced. Any major match penalties or anything like that has to be reported. We have to have people in the building that are trained and expert in these areas. And the regiment are the ones that are making this such a professional event. Our director, Mercer, has been in full contact with them from day one. His suggestions, his work ethic to us has been impeccable. This is a great thing. This will be the last time that these teams will have a chance to be beaten up on each other until the regular season starts. The regiment has 2 players from Newfoundland and Labrador that were invited to and were selected to the under-18 Canadian national junior team that recently won the Hlinka Gretzky World Under-18 Championships in Europe, beating the United States of America 7-2 in the gold medal final. Those players are defenseman Quinn Norman and forward Benjamin Vitch, who are expected to see action this weekend. I would encourage you to come out, embrace the event. It's going to be a barn burner, and I'm so pleased to be able to be there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and everybody, for your patience.
Thank you, Councillor James. Councillor Hiscock.
I forgot what I was going to do. Carpe diem.
Seize the day.
No, I just wanted to highlight a few things, Mayor. Since our last meeting here in the Chambers, we had a cricket tournament in Grand Falls-Windsor, and it was good. 6 teams, 2 from Corner Brook, Springdale, Clarendville, Gander, and of course our very own host team, the Golden Falcons. And with Presley and as the captain, and it was a great time, great event. Corner Brook won. We give them one, we'll get them next year. And Corner Brook 11's won. Was a great match and a lot of fun, right? Also, Labor Day, as Councillor Cody said, Monday, September the 11th, line up at 9 a.m. on Main Street. And the parade moves off at about 10. The quiet zone is on Columbus Drive, and the quiet zone means no sirens, horns, or anything like that. We moved down then to High Street. It's going to be the bicycle competition, of course, the floats, the community kitchen. We're going to be cooking the barbecued hot dogs and hamburgers again, thanks to the town of Grand Falls-Windsor. And after that, then there's, of course, the speeches or whatever the case may be from the dignitaries and the prizes for best float and bicycles. Church Road Park after that, bouncy castles and a barbecue and everything up there as well. And also, Mayor, I just tell people to circle their calendar. The Senior Wellness Fair is on to go again. It's Wednesday, September the 23rd. Doors open at 10, and it's from 10 to 2 at the Joel Burns Stadium. And we have Sobeys there with their snacks again. Tim Hortons Gazebo is going to be there as well. I think we have 50 exhibitors registered now, and we expect more to come. Music supplied by, they changed their name, I'm not quite sure, but it's Ralph Angel and his friends are going to be doing it. And thanks to Mr. Stan Singh for an outstanding job of organizing all this. And of course, our community special event staff for organizing, getting everything up and running at the time. So it's going to be a great time, Mayor. So, tell everybody, come out. It's going to be just great. Last year we had over 800 people come through the doors. So it was just great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Councillor Follett. There's not much left.
Not much left. No, there's really not. I had a full page, but apparently there's pretty much all covered. I just want to reiterate the Labor Day is coming up, and that Freddie Barker is the contact for the Labor Day Parade, and his telephone number is 709-489-9635. Back to school, I know, but I just want to mention that we just keep your eyes out for the kids. When the kids get back to school, they're usually always excited and they're not usually paying attention. And if everyone could just slow down and keep their eyes out for the kids, especially in the school zones. Our paving program is progressing nicely. It's nice to see some new pavement throughout the town, and a lot of the potholes are getting filled. So it's really nice to see this the paving, the new pavement down. Is always a pleasure to drive over that. And the resiliency, we just had the wildfire resiliency workshop at the ski chalet. Was extremely informative. I learned so much there, and it's funny because you think, when you go to these things, there were so many little things that were significant that sometimes you wouldn't think about. So if we ever get the opportunity to have this wildfire resiliency workshop, I think we should recommend, and I think we really put a drive on to get the information out to the residents, because it's certainly well worth the time that you have there. And I just want to point out that we actually have a wildfire resiliency coordinator hired, and Tim Budgell is his name, and he's working from Town Hall, so you can reach out to the Town Hall, and if you have any questions or like to get in contact with him. So his name is Tim Budgell, and he's our new wildfire resiliency coordinator. And the disbursement reports. I just want to point out to anyone who's wondering about the disbursement reports, we haven't taken them off the agenda, and we haven't forgotten about them, and we haven't excluded them from the minutes. It's just the past couple of council meetings, there has been some changes. I think Director Goss said that there was some internal
Yeah, I think the last meeting, there was probably some holidays and vacation that caused an issue on that one. And then the most recent one, there's been some changes down in my staff, and they haven't fully been, one of them hasn't been fully trained on how to complete the report. And then, so the other one was on vacation that needs to show them, which is happening this week. So they'll be ready for the next meeting in September.
Thank you. So they'll be back on the agenda next time around. And I just want to well wishes to Deputy Mayor Bennett. I mean, we are all thinking of him, and we are hoping he's feeling better real soon. So I just wanted to say that one. And other than that, enjoy the rest of your summer, and we'll see you in the fall. Thank you.
There you go. Okay, I just got a few things here. I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Bruce McDonald, radio personality in Grand Falls-Windsor at CKCM and CBC for many, many years, broadcaster of Cataract games for years as well, and certainly a good guy. And if you ever had the opportunity to have a chat with him, you knew all about the Detroit Red Wings and New York Yankees before he left. That was his two favorites. But Bruce, certainly a radio personality for over 40 years here in Grand Falls-Windsor. So our sincere condolences to his wife Madeline and the McDonald family. The Windsor Pentecostal Church celebrated their 100th anniversary last month. 100 years of giving in the community. I had the pleasure of attending, and at the ceremony they presented the Lionel Kelvin Hospice and the Ground Search and Rescue Unit and Courtier Brook Handsman Association with significant donations. But what I'd like to thank them for now this evening is for all they do that we don't hear about. The Windsor Pentecostal Church has been a good organization for, like I said, 100 years, and they look after a lot of people that we never ever hear about, and they look out for ones that need it the most, as do the other churches in the community. But so, congratulations to the Windsor Pentecostal Church and Pastor Jeffrey Ryan on your 100th anniversary, and keep up the good work within the community. Councillor James was speaking about baseball earlier. We had a Grand Falls-Windsor minor baseball player, Avery Healy, who traveled to St. John's last month and pitched a no-hitter, which doesn't happen very often, does it, Councillor James? And so congratulations to Avery. He's quite the phenomenal ball player. He just got through playing the Atlantics up in PEI, and certainly a fantastic baseball player and a fantastic pitcher. And for anybody who can pitch a no-hitter, that is significant. And what else have I got here? Last but not least, we had Melvin Hanhams continue his world golf tour just last week, and play golf in Saskatchewan at a competition, a Special Olympics competition in Saskatchewan, and had 2 real good first days. He had 59 on the first and second day. He was 1 shot out of the lead going into the 3rd day, and never had such a good day. A few putts lipped around the rim and just wasn't falling for him, and ended up finishing 5th, which is really, really good. So congratulations, Melvin. You're an excellent golfer. Keep up the good work, and we'll be all waiting to see what part of the world you're going to next year golfing, because it was only a couple of years ago he was in Germany golfing. And I think that's it for what I got. Councillor James, you got something else there, I believe?
I forgot one page. I get excited, I believe. Okay, back to the Windsor Stadium Group. For more information to contribute stuff and to get acquainted with what our committee is doing out there, go to Facebook, Windsor Stadium 50th Anniversary Group, and they can answer all of your questions. Also, upcoming events, very important. Thomas Amusements are at the Shauna Dennis Hill Field until the 31st of August. The renaming of Main Street Clubhouse will take place Friday, August 28th at 7 p.m. on Main Street in honor of the late, great David Grimes. The public is welcome. Thank you, Mayor. Labor Day concert in the park from 1 to 4, featuring music by Crossroads and Station Road. Food and refreshments generously sponsored by Grand Toyota. Ladies and gentlemen, if I missed something, I apologize. Thank you, Mayor Brown.
Thank you, Councillor James. I don't think you missed anything. I really don't. Last call. Anybody else got anything you'd like to throw out there before we make a motion to adjourn? So let's have a motion to adjourn. Councillor Hiscock, second. Councillor Cody, all in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned, and we'll see you all back in 3 weeks. And take care, Deputy Mayor Bennett. We're thinking about you.